Morning all. It's great to be here to talk about what we're doing over at Channel 4. I think our data strategy has been well documented, but hopefully I can give you a bit more insight into kind of what we're doing, how we're doing it, and why we're doing it. So, where's the clicker? Oh, it's on there. So, firstly, as a backdrop, UK people can't get enough TV. So 10 years ago, we were watching something like around about 3.5 hours of TV, whereas now we're watching over 4 hours of TV. And that's come from lots of innovation, technical innovation in terms of kind of multi-channel and a lot of PVR usage. But what's interesting for us is kind of how we can kind of use that. Now, over the last 10 years, the strategy for TV has been about developing a multi-channel and a multi-channel portfolio, which Channel 4 invested in quite significantly. And we saw significant growth over the last 10 years. We were the only terrestrial channel to see portfolio growth. We went from 10% share to 11% share. So it's something that's really kind of interesting for us. But if the last 10 years was about multi-channel strategies, the next 10 years, we believe, is about connectivity and data. And by 2020, we believe that 2/3 of all viewing will be done via connected devices. Now, that's really important for broadcasters because it changes the relationship between ourselves and the viewer. It has a profound effect on what we can do with them. Now, we want to embrace that connection to help us stimulate viewing and create new revenue-generating opportunities. Now, this is really important for Channel 4 because not so many people know this actually, we're a publicly owned, not-for-profit, advertiser-funded organisation. So our remit is to innovate and to be experimental and to be distinctive. And therefore, we're embracing the opportunity that this clearly kind of gives us. Now, with this remit, we have three clear audiences that we need to talk to. First of all, our viewers, clearly, they're really important to us. Our advertising partners who help us pay for the content and make it free. And our policymakers. So everything we do needs to comply with Ofcom, and increasingly now we're moving into this kind of area with the ICO. Today, I'm going to talk about viewers and advertisers. So firstly, we've got 6 channels in our portfolio. And we have a very strong on-demand TV offering with Forde, which we make available across a multitude of different devices for free. And last year, we introduced our viewer-centric database strategy, which crucially, we developed a single sign-on registration where people can sign on across all the different platforms and for a range of different offerings, mainly to access our archive. We have 30 years of Channel 4 programming on there, which people want to kind of come and view. But we also offer them exclusive previews and premieres, and we also offer them exclusives in terms of coming to have experiences with 4, so taking them beyond the TV channel. So last year, somebody came along, one of our viewers, and scheduled one of our channels for the day. So we're trying to kind of introduce those types of kind of experiences for people. And we've had some pretty significant success so far. We've got over 7 million registered users. Over 60% of those views on 4OD on channel4.com now come from logged-in viewers. And I think really big stat for us is the fact that 1 in 3 16/24s are now registered on channel4.com. That's incredibly great for us because we're a young audience, and we're kind of our key audience is the 16-24. So have that to kind of motivate and bring them along with us is kind of really important. Now this scale helps us to deliver both consumer and business benefits. So we've got millions of viewers who are now connected with us, so we can see their behaviour with us, which allows us to build segmentations, personalise the experience, give relevant recommendations, and as well as give more relevant advertising. Now, we're a year into the strategy, and we're only really at the beginning of what we want to do. But we're beginning the journey, and we're looking to kind of now weave the data that we've collected and the experiences that we've seen through the experience and the viewer experience. So Recently, we've just launched recommendations and personalisation across channel4.com, and they'll be going across devices later this year. We've also started to innovate and look at our communications out, so using the recommendations that and the behaviours that we're seeing to kind of inform people about kind of how they're viewing, and kind of tell them about the stuff that they can watch with us. One of the watch-outs that I'm always telling my team about is that it's all great to collect data on people, but Channel 4 also needs to make sure that we ensure that the TV experience still has that serendipity about it. So we shouldn't just use recommendations to tell people exactly what they've watched before, but use it to kind of inform them about things that they may want to watch. Because that's very much in Channel 4's DNA, to kind of introduce people to different things that they may not realise they would have liked before. Now, clearly as a trusted brand, we don't want to erode this, and moving into this kind of data area is kind of really important for us, but we also need to bring the viewer along with us and make sure that they feel that we're kind of being very transparent and in the way that we're using data. And we launched, alongside our data strategy, we launched what we call our viewer promise, and that has two key pillars: openness and transparency. So openness is in terms of kind of what we want to do with viewers, and then transparency in terms of kind of how we use that data and what we kind of do with it. And we also believe that they have full control over the data that they give us. Now, Channel 4 is rooted in showing people, not telling them what we kind of do. So we asked Alan Carr, one of our talent, to explain via video exactly what it is we do with data. Oh, hopefully this will play.
At Channel 4, we're deeply and passionately in love. We're in love with you lovely viewers, and we love making programmes for you. We're so in love, we want to get to know you even better. Because to give you more of your favourite shows and not your mum's or your mate Steve's, it helps to know who you are and what you like. So, if you sign up with Channel 4 on, say, 4OD, we'll ask you for your name, email address, and a few other details. Now, I know what you're thinking. Why should you give us your name and inside leg measurement? What will we do with that information? Let me put your mind at rest. When it comes to your details, we'll make you this promise. You control any personal information you give us. We'll never sell them to anyone. We won't clutter your email with stuff you don't want. And if you ever want the details you've given us back, we'll wipe them from our system. And you'll never hear from us again. Of course, having a better idea of who's watching our shows does attract advertisers too, which helps us make even more shows. In case you didn't know, Channel 4 is a not-for-profit organisation. So, the money we make from advertising doesn't go into the pockets of shareholders. It goes into creating more great programmes we think you'll love. But like I said before, even though we're madly in love with you, you're the one who's always in control. You naughty little things.
For more information about Channel 4's viewer promise, go to channel4.com/4viewers.
So a unique Channel 4 take on data and how we use it, I think. And I think it's really important for us to kind of make sure we use that brand and leverage it, which I'll talk about later. And that open approach actually has been really well received by viewers, by the industry and by policymakers. So we're really pleased that kind of people understand, and we've made it very easy for people to understand what we're doing. Now, in terms of our advertising partners, we're learning lots and lots about kind of what we can do with the data and how we use it and what we can do with it. From recreating customer segmentations to identifying shared consumers and through to tracking exposure to outcome. And clearly, obviously, other sort of ways of being able to target people through the actual data using demographic targeting. But just delving into kind of a little bit of detail on a couple of those. So in terms of kind of the identifying shared viewers, we're using third-party data processors so that obviously we don't pass on any personally identifiable information to anybody. But what we can do now is we can identify share consumers and then obviously target them via our advertising system. So we, as well as having a broad scale Channel 4 big brand advertising awareness building kind of thing through the TV, we can also now target individuals specifically who are on TV, who are on our channels. Plus, we can also then apply consumer or purchase data to that, which kind of can show exposure to outcomes. So if somebody's seen an ad on Forde, we can then also then see whether they have also been exposed or kind of whether they've gone on to purchase. So doing that, we can kind of get an aggregated view for an advertiser to say, actually, it's been this effective and it's actually kind of led to a purchase. And then again, working with third-party processors, we can recreate brand segments so that we can target specific segments. You know, for example, if somebody's looking to kind of reactivate a particular segment, then they can come along and tell us who they are, and then we can target them. All done by GUID, no kind of personal identifiable information passes hands. Now, finally, kind of to sum up, there's 3 key learnings that we've kind of observed in this area. I think first of all, going from a one-to-many broadcaster to a more targeted approach has its challenges, both kind of from a kind of internal sort of working arrangements with other parts of the business, but also not the reliance on technology that you need. So we've broken out of the ways of traditional ways of working with different technologies. So we changed our internal approaches to data management. We've embraced new cutting-edge systems like Hadoop, and we've changed business processes in terms of the way we kind of handle data at speed, which is something that's quite a significant change for a business like Channel 4. Secondly, I think trust is absolutely key, and I think the centrepiece of what we've done so far has been the viewer promise and making sure that people do believe and understand that Channel 4 is taking its brand into this area, making sure that people understand that we are to be trusted and we aren't kind of just taking data for the sake of it. One of the things that we challenge on ourselves on all the time is to make sure that any piece of data that we take from an individual has a clear benefit back to them. So gender, for instance, if we take gender from them, then they understand that. It's for us to be able to understand how we kind of who's watching our shows, and so we can make more of kind of like those types of shows for them or for that type of audience. So that's quite an interesting thing for us to have to do, because it slows down some of the kind of commercial kind of data that people will want to get from us, but it's also important for us to make sure that viewers are with us on everything we do. And finally, from my perspective, it's kind of about making sure that the brand is being brought through, so that that it helps the viewer orientate itself with the business, helps them kind of understand what we're trying to do, and also just breathes some life into kind of some of the data propositions that we're doing as well. That's it from me. Hopefully that gives you a bit of an insight of what Channel 4's up to.